Hello there, and welcome to Talking Nerdy, the show where we take various story arcs and events from current comics and we cover them. I'm your host, Obi-Wan Jabroni. Now, today's story will be Star Wars High Republic numbers 6 through 8, written by Kevin Scott, with arts by Georges Gentry, and colors by Annalisa Leone. Now, this takes place 200 years before Episode 1. And we continue to look at the fight with the dreaded Drengir for the fate of all of the Republic. And with that, let's start talking nerdy. First up, we have High Republic number 6, Heart of the Drengir, Chapter 1, The Galaxy Unites. The Drengir assault on Starlight Beacon and Sedri Minor has stopped thanks to the uneasy alliance between Jedi and the Hutts. Jedi Keeve Trennis' desperate gambit to help stop the attack paid off, but may have cost the life of her former master Skier. Now, a much greater conflict is about to test Keeve and the Jedi like never before. And we open on the planet Davak, and we learn that a few months have passed since last issue, and the Drengar have come back stronger and took root on hundreds of different worlds. And that the Hutts and the Jedi still have a shaky alliance against the Drengir. And Master Avar Kriss and the twin Jedi Masters Tarek and Sarek, along with a few Hutts and a bunch of other Jedi, are fighting off waves of Drengar on Davik. Now, meanwhile, on the Starlight Beacon, Master Maru is going over the battlefield reports and is interrupted by a human Jedi named Master Geos. And we learn Master Geos is on the Jedi Council. And he tells him that most of the other Jedi Council members are worried about Avar's alliance with the Hutts. And Maru tells him that he don't like it either, but they are delivering results in the fight against the Drengir. And Geos asks how Master Skier is doing, and Maru tells him that there has been very little change in his condition. Now, elsewhere on the beacon, Keeve is in the medical room with her Master Skier, and she gives a little bit of a short monologue here. I should be out there with Avar and the others, but how can I when he's still like this? Dr. Janelli tells me that the stasis field is working, that Skier's Drengar infestation is being held in check. But that's only half the story. He's slipping away, piece by piece, moment by moment. I can barely sense him now. I should never have listened to him on Sedri Minor. Yes, we bought ourselves time, but at what cost? I should have found another way. There has to be more to this. Skier taught me everything I know. He is always so sure, so steadfast. If this could happen to him, what does it mean for the rest of us? And we switch back to Davik, and the battle against the Drengar rages on, and Marshal Kriss is battling, mounted atop a Hutt Rancor, when she's overran and thrown from it. And she hits the ground but recovers easily and starts to fend off a Drengir and her now corrupted Rancor. The Hutt leader, Myarga, appears out of from the side, and he kills the Rancor himself. Now having room to maneuver, Avar calls the beacon and tells them to scramble all Jedis to her location. They need backup immediately. And we go back to Starlight Beacon again. Master Maru tells Keeve to come to the hangar now, and they're gonna go join the assault. She runs over to Master Skier and deactivates the medical field around him, and says he is the key to fighting the Drengir, but he can't do it alone. And as the stasis field goes down, Skier starts to stir, and his vine arm shoots out and grabs Keeve by the face, and the vines start to enter her every orifice, nose, mouth, ears. And she is pulled into a mental plane of sorts, and sees Skier standing nearby and runs over to embrace him. And she asks what this place is, and Skier tells her it's a representation of the Drengir root mine, and he has been trying to get out, but he doesn't have the strength. At that point, back in reality, Maru calls the medbay again to find out where Keeve is, and the doctor says that she's infected, so he had to reactivate the stasis field around them both to stop the spread. And Maru hurries and goes to the medbay, and he finds Keeve in the stasis, and she's muttering to herself about looking for the heart of the Drengir, but saying they aren't strong enough. Maru and another Jedi named Orblin start to use the Force on Keeve and Skier to try and help them. Inside the root mine, the vines start to retreat, and Skier tells Keeve to grab them before they go away completely. They both grab one and are pulled away with them, and they are dragged to a rocky outcrop with a massive Drengar down below them. And Skier tells her that it's the first seed, the heart of the Drengir, called the Great Progenitor. And Keeve says she can see into its mind, and it's trying to stop her. And then all of a sudden, a vine shoots out and goes through her chest. Skier screams, "No, this can't stand, real or not," and rips his vine arm off. In the root mine, and in the real world, he rips it off as well. They are both pulled back to reality instantly, and all across the battlefield, Drengar start to scream on Davik. After catching her breath, Keeve says she knows where and how to stop the Drengir. The Great Progenitor is on a planet deep in wild space called Mulata. And that ends our first issue. Taking us to High Republic number 7, Heart of the Drengar, Part 2, of Sith and Shadows. The sinister Drengir devour all in their path. Jedi Master Avar Kriss forms an uneasy alliance with the treacherous Hutt cartel. Together they will strike at the Drengar's home planet deep in wild space. As Master Alestra Maru of Starlight Beacon gathers Jedi to help, young Jedi Knight Keeve Trennis deals with the consequences of her triumph over the Drengir. Now, we open up in a nightmare of Keeve's, and she is in a dark jungle, lost and calling out for Master Skier and Master Kriss. And the dead kids from issue 3 on Sedri Minor appear and are showing her a hollow of a metal rings around an orb. And a white-robed woman appears behind her, saying that the hollow looks familiar, doesn't it? And Keeve turns, and everyone disappears, leaving her alone yet again. She calls out for all of them, and a voice from the shadows says, "They're not here. They never were. But I am." And a robed man ignites a red lightsaber and starts attacking Keeve. She lunges and drives the lightsaber. He lunges and drives the lightsaber through Keeve's gut, saying the harvest will be ours. And she drops her saber and is completely paralyzed standing there. And a chant starts all around her, saying the circle is complete. And Keeve awakens, yelling no, and finds herself in the Starlight Beacon's meditation chambers. And she quickly leaves and goes to see Master Maru. She enters, and he is on the comms with Master Kriss, and we learn that Keeve has been left behind while Kriss and a bunch of the Jedi forces go to the Mulata system to stop the Drengir. And the call ends, and Keeve tells him she wants to help. He looks at her and says he wants to believe her, but does she believe in herself? At that point, they are interrupted by one of Maru's assistants, who give Maru a datapad. And he reads it and tells Keeve that if she wants to help, this is her chance. And at that point, we switch to a agricultural hub on the planet Cortos. And we see Two workers huddled in a corner when a gas bomb rolls into the room and starts filling it with a green gas as Nihil warriors enter as well. The leader tells the others to kill everyone and find the sprayer droids they're looking for. And they approach the workers, and before they can strike, Keeve jumps down out of nowhere in the rafters and starts to take out the Nihil. She takes them all out with ease and turns to tell the workers to get out when she is hit in the side of her head by a pole. She falls to the ground and turns to see a Nihil about to strike her down with his bladed staff. But before he can, a droid smashes into the side of him, and she sees a white-robed woman from her nightmares standing behind. And she says that her name is Orla Jaren, and that the other Nihil are already in binders as she activates the ventilation, clearing the gas from the station. And Orla tells Keeve that she sensed a Jedi losing her way and came to help, and that she is a wayseeker and not part of the beacon or any primary temple. And they clear the gas, and they get a call from Master Chris calling all Jedis to the Mulita system. And Orla asks why Keeve was here and not with the Marshal, and that she can sense that it's where she belongs. Keeve says that they don't need her, and that she thought she could embrace the darkness and be okay, but she can't. She sees it everywhere now, and she stayed behind so that she didn't get them all killed, or worse. And before any Orla can respond, Keeve falls to the ground, to her knees, holding her head and screaming. And after a few seconds, she starts to stop and looks up at Orla and says that the Drengar root mind just spoke to her. And it says it's over, that we've already lost. And that ends this issue. Leading us to our final issue, High Republic number 8, Heart of the Drengar, Part 3, The Root of Terror. As the galaxy prepares to celebrate the Republic fair on the planet Valo, a fierce battle rages in the depths of wild space. Marshal Avar Kriss has gathered a task force of Jedi and Hutt enforcers to take the fight to the evil Drengir, targeting the source of their power on the forest world of Mulita. Jedi and Hutt stand shoulder to shoulder in battle, but there is no sign of troubled Jedi Knight Keeve Trennis. Now, we open on Starlight Beacon, and Masters Mauru and Skier are on comms, and Skier asks for reinforcements. Mauru tells them that they have sent every Jedi that they can muster from the beacon, and everyone else is preparing to guard the fair. The comms are cut off, and an assistant says that the signal is too weak to maintain. And we switch to the planet Mulita, and see hundreds of Jedi are fighting alongside hundreds of Hutt cartel members against the Drengir horde. And the Hutt leader, Myarga, is battling alongside Master Skier, while Skier rides a Rancor. And they are overtook by Drengar vines and took to the ground. And as they struggle to get free, something blasts the vines in the approaching Drengar. And a ship lands, and Keeve and Master Orla rush to help Skier and Myarga get free. Tarek and Sarek join them, and Keeve asks where Marshal Chris is, and as they continue to fight off the Drengar. And Tarek tells her that she went to the center of the forest to find the great progenitor. And Keeve shakes her head and says that was a bad idea, and asks Orla to catch Skier and everyone else up on everything they've witnessed and know. And she goes off into the forest with the twins. And they get in the forest, and they hear a yell, and enter a clearing to find Chris wrapped up in vines and held by the great progenitor. And it says, as they enter the clearing, it says the harvest will be ours, and the Jedi, like the Dark Lords before them, will help spread the Empire of Thorns. Tarek asks who the Dark Lords are, and Keeve gives us short motto here. The ancient Sith, that's who trapped the Drengar on the Maxine station, long before we freed them. The progenitor's smart. I'll give her that, feeding me her location, knowing that Avar herself would lead the charge. Bonding with Skier was one thing, but Chris, she can do things no one else can. She connects us all, excuse me, becoming our root mind. And the progenitor grabs Keeve and asks if she will join the marshal, or will she die by her hand. Keeves laughs and says that Avar does bring them together, and when brought together, Jedi can do many great things. And at that moment, the Jedi forces enter the clearing, and all of them start to use the Force on the progenitor, and they all say in unison, "The Force surrounds us. The Force dwells in us. The Force flows through us. The Force protects us. The Force is light. For the Force is strong. For the Force is light. For the Force is life. For the Force is life." And Chris and Keeve are pulled from the progenitor's grasp, and it yells, saying it can no longer feel the root mind. Keeve says that the light banishes the dark, and that the Sith forces the Drengir. The Sith froze the Drengir, cutting it off, but they did it to save themselves, and the Jedi are doing it to save and protect everyone in the galaxy. And at this point, the Hutt forces enter the clearing and take aim at the Drengar, but Chris tells them to stand down as other Jedi start to set up a stasis field around the progenitor. And they quickly activate it, and a giant yellow dome surrounds the progenitor. Mayarga is pissed and says he won't sleep till the monster is dead. And at that point, the entire Jedi Force step in front of the Drengar and the Hutt forces and ignite their sabers. And Chris smiles and says that they will have to go through all of us if you want him. The Hutt stands quiet for a minute, and then he turns to retreat and leaves the planet without saying a word. And as soon as they leave, the comms start to work again, and Chris gets a call from Master Maru. She tells him that they stopped the Drengir and for him to inform the Council and Master Geos about their success. He stops her and says that's why he's calling. There's been a massacre. The Nihil have returned and attacked the Republic Fair, and they couldn't be stopped. And that ends this story arc. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Join us next week where we cover the second half to Infinite Destinies, number 5 through 8. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Feedback is always welcome. You can also follow us on the Jabroni Nerd Network Facebook page and on Twitter at Jabroni Network. So, until next week, guys, keep talking nerdy.